All right, students of ancient Athens, we are back and we are going to talk about art. And I think this used to say literature, art, literature, and memory. So, this particular lecture, this ending of our lecture series on kind of Athens, is going to really focus on the art of the Parthenon, which you see here. So, as I am filming this lecture, filming again, videoing this lecture in the spring of 2026. This scaffolding here on the Parthenon has just come down. Who knows how long it's going to be down? But if you have gone to the Parthenon in the past 20 years, this thing has been covered with scaffolding and it has finally come down. Um, but anyhow, we're going to be talking about this building mostly. In the kind of primary source lectures, we are going to be looking at a tragedy. We're going to look at the humanities. We're also going to look at a comedy and a funeral oration. It's kind of wild to me that there's not like one epic text about Athens to look at. Let me put it like this. I feel like I am leaving out some tremendous, amazing texts on art and memory in Athens, but there's just so much. Our book has a whole chapter on kind of the flourishing of Athens, all of the material that comes out in the 5th century. You could spend a lifetime just going through that. So I have chosen what I think is most interesting and kind of what's most at hand. But if you're looking for more information or more sources, on some of the amazing stuff that the city produced, don't hesitate to ask, and I can cultivate a whole reading list for you. But we are really just going to focus on the Parthenon. So I think I may have already mentioned this. When I was in graduate school, I took an entire grad seminar, so 10 weeks, that was just on the Parthenon. So that's a lot. Like, there's a lot of stuff you can say about the Parthenon. I'm not going to tell you all of it, but it's a fascinating building. It's a fascinating work. One of the most interesting things about the Parthenon is it's actually two Parthenons in one. So before the Persian War, if you can see these black lines in this picture, there was kind of like a baby Parthenon, but it was still a pretty impressive Parthenon. And in that Parthenon, there would have been a little statue of Athena here, like a perfectly fine. If you're at all curious, the word naos, I don't actually know what it means in Greek, but it's the same word in English as nave, N-A-V-E, if you're all familiar with like church architecture. So anyhow, this would have been the altar and then a statue. So there was a little baby Parthenon before the Persian Wars. Oh, and let's actually go back. I don't know if this would be interesting. I'm sorry. I'm just kind of going crazy. During the Persian Wars, the Persian invaders kind of came up on this. They climbed these walls. So these very steep, sheer faces that were supposed to be impenetrable. The Persians managed to kind of climb up those walls and they burned down this baby Parthenon. It was a huge moral victory for not moral, what's the word I'm looking for? Ideological. It was just like a blow to Athens. I mean, it's like all those movies we see now in which like the White House gets blown up. Like it's that kind of situation. So then when the Athenians won against the Persians, they rebuilt, right? But they rebuilt twice as big. So all of this stuff is the newer Parthenon. This is the Parthenon that we see today. And so we're going to be talking about this. And I'm not sure if I mentioned this already. The word Parthenon, Parthenos in Greek, means maiden. So Parthenon is temple to the maiden being, of course, Athena. In the Parthenon was this huge statue. So this was a picture I thought we were going to be looking at much earlier. Believe it or not, in Nashville, Tennessee, in the United States of America, there is a recreation of the Parthenon, and it includes this recreation of the statue of Athena. And you can see this normal sized man standing here for reference. So this was a huge statue. And I just want to emphasize this statue, which looks very kitschy to us, I think, was made in the 5th century BCE before like cranes by the Athenians, who has already been noted were not like master, like machine people. And it was made, all of the gold would have been real gold. And then all of the white would have been ivory. So it was probably hollow in the center, but still, so quite big. And if you remember from the art lecture, here, I don't, can I make this bigger? I can't. So here is this little breastplate of Medea. Here is Nike, the goddess of victory. Did I say that before? I forgot that Nike meant victory. I kept thinking justice, but Nike is the goddess of victory, hence Nike. She has this beautiful shield here and her staff. So, oh, and just FYI, this is exactly how big it was. They matched the proportions according to ancient descriptions perfectly. And if you're an all in art person, like I learned this somehow when I was in college. No, never mind. Forget. I was going to say maybe that's still true. This shield has to be here for balance. Like she would fall over if the shield wasn't here. But then that's pretty impressive that her arm is up like that. Anyhow, this statue would have been in the middle of the Parthenon. You could have gone in and seen it, and it would have been there, and it would have been fantastic. So yeah, there's some art for you. And then here we're just going to kind of look at the art that surrounded the Parthenon, kind of on the outside. So this is the Parthenon frieze. So if we go back and look at the Parthenon here, so this frieze would have gone around. So you see all the columns, right? And the columns are supporting these like rectangular structures. So some of these are called the frieze. And some of these are, yeah. So I think the outside is all the frieze. And then the inside, on the inside, there would also be art, which we're going to talk about. But so the frieze depicts the Panathenea. So this is one of the festivals I talked about in the religion section. And so basically, it's what you see is essentially a parade. It's often called just a procession, but a procession and parade are essentially the same things. I don't think a procession would have a marching band, but otherwise they're kind of the same. The reason the Panathenea procession is so interesting is theoretically you can see like regular citizens of Athens. So you have this artwork on the most important building in Athens depicting the citizens of Athens. So you have this sense of civic unity, right? And an acknowledgement of the various parts of the city that come together to make up the city. And you have women, you have children, you have people carrying stuff on their heads. It's pretty impressive. But more impressive than that, in my opinion, are the pediments, the pedimental structures. So if we come back again, I should have just kept repeating this. So here again is the Parthenon. And so it's missing because it's a very old building and it was blown up a couple of times. There's these kind of triangular things here. Like there should be these triangular kind of tops. And these are the pediments. So let's go back and look at it. Actually, no, that's not good. So you can see how it's kind of in the shape of a triangle. So it's like psh, psh. So these would have been on the top of the Parthenon. It is called a pediment. It always makes me think of feet, but it's like the head of the building. So one of the pediments of the Parthenon, unsurprisingly, shows the birth of Athena. Now we don't have very much of it, but what we do have is pretty amazing. This here is supposed to be Demeter and Persephone leaning on each other. I think this is meant to be Iris. Look at these horses. I don't think I have a close-up. If this were an in-person class and I were more technologically savvy, I would be walking through each of these pictures. If you are curious, they're everywhere. This one is from ancientgreece.org, but actually right now all of these marbles are in the British Museum, which is like, ugh, I wish we had time to talk about that. Very controversial, very interesting story. But these statues are right now in the British Museum. So if you go to the British Museum website, you can see them all. And they are quite majestic. This picture did not, oh, this picture didn't come out well, but it is a recreation of the birth of Athena. So these do not exist anymore. It's just what we think is there. And so what's happening here is, I think here is Zeus, and here is Athena being born from his head. Theoretically, it's not that great, but so we can tell it's Athena because she's got her shield, she's got her helmet, she's got a little Medusa thing here. And most interestingly, and I love this here is Hephaestus, and he is holding the axe that he used to cut Athena out of Zeus's head. So if you don't know this story, so Zeus got a woman pregnant with Athena, his first child. He was very worried about this, so he swallowed Athena's mom, and then and then one day he got a very, very bad headache. Hephaestus came, cracked open his head, and Athena came out of his head, and she became his favorite child, of course, etc., etc. So that's a mythology story. But that's what the Eastern pediment. So this is supposed to depict this. These statues no longer exist. We just have descriptions of them from ancient authors. So that's the Eastern pediment. On the Western pediment, we have even less. So the Eastern pediment is the side of the Parthenon that faces east, the side that faces west, was very much destroyed. But we do think, or people know, again, because these are described in ancient texts, that the Western pediment depicted Athena versus Poseidon, the competition for Athena and Poseidon over kind of ownership of Athens. So we don't have this really, we just have kind of garbage left. But this is what we have left. I just wanted to show you kind of the craftsmanship of the sculptures. I mean, this is a sculpture. No one could see these feet from the ground, but still we just have this incredible work. Like, look at this toe, it's just amazing. And then here we have, a woman with her like folds of her dress, truly just exceptional artwork. And so, like as normal people, we're like, well, why do they work so hard? No human eye was meant to see this. These were meant to be very high. But I think here's a place where you can see these were not created for people. They were created for the gods, and they had these skills, the ability, the craftsmen had the ability to do this. So of course they did, because it was to honor the gods as well as glorify the city. So that's some of that. The metapiece, this would have been on the inside of the Parthenon. So some of them depict centaurs versus Lapiths. So this is a mythological battle. Lapiths were people. They were not Athenians, but they were like, kind of Athenians. They were normal people. They had a party, and the centaurs came and they got into a big fight. Ultimately, though you can't tell it from this metape, the people won. So the centaurs versus Lapiths fight is meant to kind of show the conquering of their animal natures by people. It's meant to be a triumph of civilization. So the centaurs are defeated by the civilized Lapiths. But really, I mean, look at this. Look at this. I'm sorry. I always hate this when teachers do. Look at how cool this is. Look at his arm. But I mean, it's truly like an epic bit of sculpture. And yeah, so that's what the metapiece showed. And it would have gone around the building with this kind of ideological goal of being like, look how cool civilization is. I mean, really, this is the triumph of the city, even though you can't tell from this particular example that I'm showing you. And yeah, so that's all I'm going to say. I could go on forever, but it's actually getting dark where I am. I have to have dinner. So, yes, but like I said, and I will make sure to post on the Canvas page some resources if case you're interested in looking at other Acropolis artwork. If you're interested in taking like a virtual walkthrough of the Parthenon, I'm pretty sure the British Museum has that. And honestly, if you want to talk about the Elgin marbles and why, how they all ended up in London, I'd be happy. I did a whole presentation on that. So yeah, but here's some other things. So the Propylaea, this was mentioned in our book, so I just wanted to make sure because I assigned that reading. The Propylaea is the entrance to the Acropolis. So let me just go all the way back here. I'm sorry, I should have done this. So here's the Acropolis, right? All of this rock. You can't get in from this side over here where my face is. The entrance is over here. And so this whole structure is called the entrance or the propylaea. Propylaea is basically just another way of saying entrance. I know that some of us have gone to visit the Acropolis, and so this is you as a normal human being. You would come up here if you normally when I talk to people about this, these are like the slipperiest stairs of my life. Like I was young when I went up these stairs and I was very scared of tripping and falling because they're so slippery, which is amazing because they've been made slippery just by thousands of years of people going up and down them. I think that's really Fascinating. But so the Propylaea was itself a work of art in 5th century Athens. This is, of course, a reconstruction of what it would look like, but you have these just beautiful buildings, these stairs going up. And then over here on the right is this little temple of Athena Nike, which is talked about in our book. So I just wanted to make sure that you had some orientation of where that little temple was. Okay, and then this. So this is actually the concluding lecture. I was thinking about this. I feel like this lecture series has gone on for a very long time, so I hope it was interesting to you. It was definitely interesting to me. I'm like losing my voice at the end of it. Um, in our next lecture series, which will be, they will all be much shorter than this, we are going to talk about tragedy, comedy, and maybe a little history and philosophy. I just wanted to give us a little bit of that, as much as was reasonable. This here is a picture of the Theater of Dionysus, and I'm not going to go back and show you where the Theater of Dionysus is. It is on the Acropolis. It is still there. It is amazing. But while we're here, I just wanted to, as we go on, because the first thing we're going to talk about is a tragedy, one of the earliest tragedies, the Eumenides. So I just wanted to show you that if you were an ancient Athenian citizen, you would come to this theater and you would sit in these chairs and watch all of these tragedies and comedies happening down here while looking out over your city. I just think the Theater of Dionysus shows how profoundly enmeshed in city life tragedy and comedy and art was. It's just truly magnificent. So thank you for letting me just really go crazy with like basically, isn't this cool kind of lecture. I appreciate you sticking with me. As always, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out, come to my office hours, send me an email. I would love to talk to you. And otherwise, I will see you when we talk about the Furies and everyone's favorite character. Who am I thinking of? Orestes. Sorry, I shouldn't have done what I did. So let me go ahead and stop recording, and I will see you next time, hopefully. Yes.